So when I came to Stuttgart, I was first, I thought maybe I missed something. Maybe they cancel some events because it was just too silent.
अहो अहो तुम्ही काय वेडे झालात का? अहो जरा डोक्याचा वापर करा तुम्ही. कुठं तिकडे डोंगरावर जाणार? अगं तुझे वडील बघ संन्यास घेतात शांततेच्या शोधात चाललेत. आणि काय हो तुम्हाला काय मी जाडी वाटते का? दिसायला काय चांगली नाही का मी? का सटकलाय तुम्ही?
छोकरे के बारे में मोबाइल से मूवी बना दिया.
He thinks the film is about the little kid and it's his story because he doesn't believe that he is an important character for the film.
The film is about the man who is looking for silence. He's a driver. His name is NAMDEV BHAU. Imagine he's living next to railway station on one side, then highway on the other side, and airport in the middle. And at the same time, he's a driver. So it means that he is spending maybe 5 to 6 hours every day in traffic. And in Bombay, in India, you can hear traffic all the time, like each and every second of our lives. And they say that actually Bombay is louder than London in more than 68, 64 times. So you can imagine the amount of noise which is there. And yeah, so it's about the man who decided to leave everything and to go to mountains to experience silence for the first time in his life. I guess the idea came from all of our frustration from noisy Bombay. Because sometimes it's true, you can't hear your own thoughts while just walking on the streets. You don't enjoy the environment. You can't feel the city. You can't feel yourself because just there's so many things are not just happening, but sounding around you. And so my producer, Dir Maya, he told me once, he said, imagine that from the day we wake up till the moment that we go to sleep, we always can hear noise. So we started discussing this idea, and then the idea of the driver came to us, the story. And yeah, and the story was born. Oh, I am so confused usually about the messages of the film because I always feel that I don't have enough right to put a certain message in my film. But I would say it's more about feeling or thought or the idea or assumption of the film. When, sometimes when people, they're going, let's say, to India, or if they in India, they decide to travel to Europe, or if they're in Europe, they decide to go to, Southeast Asia to find themselves. But sometimes it's just not happening. We're going there, we're going to the mountains, we're walking for a long time, trying to find ourselves or to answer certain questions which are bothering us. And we are just ending up being frustrated because we realize that there is no answer. So sometimes our journey is not external, but it's internal. And while going on those journeys, we end up finding ourselves inside us rather than outside. Same way like with NAMDEV BHAU, who finally is able to find his silence, but it's inside him.
वो अपने घर में रह के वो कलेक्ट किया ना. हाँ, घर में से दूसरी कर दिया.
So basically, he works with our producer Dheer. He's his driver. He's been his driver for the past 30 years in his family. So Daria, while she was one day traveling with him, she thought of this idea because of how noisy Mumbai was. And he was there and she just got really attached to the character name and him and then decided to cast him.
NAMDEV BHAU is an actual driver. He's been driving for the last 45 years of his life. And he is a very close friend of my producer, of Dheer. And NAMDEV BHAU knows him from his childhood. And when I saw NAMDEV BHAU, I realized that he has so much charisma and so much love and hatred and emotions inside him that I thought he can be just perfect for casting. And I started writing the script. And I called my character NAMDEV BHAU. And my producer told me, don't do it because I know you will be stuck on this name and you will force me to cast him. So I stuck on the name and I forced my producer to cast NAMDEV BHAU because I realized that I will not be able to recreate that inner desire for life and for certain search in any other actor but Namdev BHAU. So Namdev BHAU, Namdev is his name, and BHAU means brother. So it's brother Namdev. So everyone calls him Namdev BHAU. And with Arya, it was also tricky because in real life, Arya is completely opposite than he is in the film. Namdev BHAU doesn't speak at all. He's very shy. He's very silent. And Namdev BHAU, in real life, he speaks all the time. He will comment on everything, what you eat, what you wear, why you should do or you shouldn't do something.
नाना मुझे लगता है हमें लौट जाना चाहिए। आप मेरे साथ गेम क्यों नहीं खेलते? मुझे भी शांति बहुत पसंद है। तुमको लगता है हम सही रास्ते पर हैं? हम सोएंगे किधर? हमें और कितना टाइम लगेगा?
So we went through a lot of workshops before going into production. But I think during the workshops, they have found a very unique chemistry between them. And that's why the shoot was not very difficult. It was physically difficult because it was on a very high altitude in Ladakh. And Namdev BHAU had to walk a lot. So we were very concerned about his health. But he turned out to be a beast. He was really, really good. And he was very keen on just being captured on camera and shooting. And he enjoyed the entire process.
It is very difficult to finance any movie in our country if it's not a Bollywood film. Because the big studios, we don't have any government funds. So we are an industry that has to rely on private equity that we raise to make films. And there are very few investors who are willing to take a risk on, like, even if it's a small film like ours, very few investors who are willing to take a risk. So it's difficult, but we are lucky to find like an investor who believes in us and who's willing to take this chance with us.
We were shooting our film in Ladakh, in mountains, and it's a really incredibly beautiful place. I remember when I came there and I was really mesmerized by the unusual landscape of the place. So the place itself has a very strong character, and I wanted to capture that as a part of the story. Visual concept of the film, I think, was developed between Dheer, Aditya and me, so my producer and my cinematographer. They're very visually oriented filmmakers. For them, visuals are playing the most important role. And for me, emotions are playing the most important role. I rather will sacrifice really bad shot, but will capture the emotions. They will not do it. Once Aditya, he just threw his hat on the floor and saying, I'm not taking this shot because I'm not aesthetically satisfied. So we had a fight for 1.5 hours. We finally took the shot, but we never used it. So I think it's very important to create a strong team which has different, I guess, who appreciate different parts of filmmaking as their forte. And that's why I was very happy and lucky to find Aditya and Dheer, who were always finding the most incredible frames in the middle of nowhere. It was Aditya's first feature film as a cinematographer. But I think he has just God's gift, seeing beauty in each and everything around him. CinemaScope format was pre-decided by the cinematographer because he didn't want to compromise on that, because he saw the world, the story from that point of view. It was digital. Yeah, the film was digital, and you also, a lot of people surprised, but we shot it on a really small camera. We shot it on Panasonic GH4. And when I first saw the camera, I got heart attack. I'm like, Aditya, we can't shoot it because it won't look that good, and we are planning to shoot it to screen it on big screens and to release it in theaters. And he told me, if you trust me, you will go with this camera. I didn't trust him. I started finding my producer, but Aditya was able to persuade my producer, who then pushed me to agree, and I agreed. And I think it was the best decision of our life in terms of the shoot, because it was most of the shoot was a guerrilla shoot. We didn't have any permissions. So we had to steal shots on the street. We had to go to random houses of people to steal the shots, to take their faces, the shots. And I don't think with the big camera is possible. It was 4K.
विकेट वो खाली तो कोई खास नहीं विकेट हो गई थी, थोड़ा हो गया था, नहीं ऐसा नहीं। एकदम ज़्यादा नहीं हो गया है, थोड़ा बोलने में गड़बड़ हो गया मेरा बात से.
The thing that he struggled with most was even remembering the dialogues. He kept on messing it up and like having to do again and again. So then he had to walk a lot more because of that. So that is the hardest thing for him. I don't think the film will release in our country that because just to mount a film, the PNA cost of releasing a film in India is really really expensive. On an average, a film that even gets 1,000 screen release all across India cost about 10 times the budget of our film just for advertisement, let alone making any money back. And because you don't have a recognized star in it, it's an unknown filmmaker, unknown star. So it just financially becomes really difficult for you to ever make your money back on a Indian release. We might look to do just for our sakes a small 20 theater release, but again, we'll never make any money out of it. Unfortunately, that's the Indian market's not skewed towards helping independent films, but it's changing slowly. But it'll take a little more time. Currently, we have a sales agent attached who has managed to sell the films in a few territories. I think later this year we are also doing an Italian theatrical. We have a small deal done in Korea as well. So we're just exploring those opportunities right now with the film. That's the one of the ways to recover the money on the film that you make.
When the film was ready and I saw the edit, I felt that something very important was missing, and that something was emotional part and emotions in terms of music. And for me, ending part wasn't working as well. So then Aditya was just looking at the edit, and he decided to put music from Pursuit of Happiness as a soundtrack at the end. He put it, we cried. We're like, oh wow, it's amazing, and it works so well. And we checked the name of the composer. It was Andrea Guerra. And so I told my team, so why don't we contact him? And most of the people said, like, how can we contact him? And anyway, it'll be very expensive for us. And it's a low budget film. I don't think it can happen. I found him on Facebook, Andrea Guerra. And it turned out to be him. I wrote him very long, emotional, crying, weeping message. And he replied to that. So I showed the entire team. Everyone was happy. But of course, we knew that most probably nothing can happen. He said, send me the film. We sent him the film. After 2 days, he replied, I like it. I'll make the music. I couldn't believe my luck. And so I got on a call with him, and he was very, very supportive, the idea of the film. He liked the film. He encouraged us also to change a lot of things in the edit, which worked out really well. Then I went to Italy. I worked with him and with his team on the music. And for me, it was a very interesting mix of different cultures. On the one hand, musical narrative, emotional narrative, Indian landscapes. And Andrea was able to capture those emotions so well that when we showed the film to our editor, he didn't see it without the music. He started crying. So then we realized that it worked.
हम कल शाम तक वैली पहुंच जाएंगे। अब की वैली आ गई और मेरा कैसल भी।
The most difficult part in filming, I really can't answer this question because each and every step of this damn film was completely unbearable. Each and every step. Starting from when Dheer Momaya has locked me in his office and said, finish the script. And I had 4 days to finish the last draft of the script. And I was suffering a lot. After that, we had a lot of issues with the financing part of the film. We had a very tight deadline when we could shoot the film, because in October, in November, Ladakh is becoming very cold. So we could shoot it on only September. And that also left us with very minimum time for pre-production. Then during the production, we had a lot of issues with starting with the weather in Ladakh to high altitude when half of the team were sick. And the entire team, I had only 15 people on the set, 10 to 15, 5 more additional people. And my ADs, my DAs had to be production designers, makeup artists, cinematographer's assistants, my assistants, acting assistants, casting guys. So they were doing everything. And then post-production, when again tight budget, difficult festival game. So everything was kind of, each and every obstacle was on the way. And till the end, we didn't know whether it will go to the festivals, whether it will not go to the festivals. So when we got invitation from Busan, then BFI, then Palm Springs, for us it was a really very heartwarming experience, especially seeing NAMDEV BHAU sitting on the plane, going for red carpet of BFI and walking together with Keira Knightley.
To be very honest, I joined the project after it was shot. I know shooting was a nightmare because Namdev, unfortunately, is also not someone who's at the peak of his health. Just before we had gone to film this, and we were shooting at the altitude of about 11,000 feet, which is, you need at least 2-3 days to acclimatize before you can even start walking around freely because you're not used to breathing at that high altitude. So it was always a challenge from whatever I heard the production stories about. It was a challenge about ensuring every 2-3 days he got enough rest because almost the entire film he's walking. Now you don't want to overexert because he's also someone who's not been well. He had a heart attack, a mini stroke a few years ago. So you always have to be careful about that. Wherein you have to be, you don't have to put other people's lives at risk while you're making a film, and you have to be really careful about the crew that you work with. So that was a challenge, and we went with a crew of ultimately just 8 people. These guys figured each and everything out as they went along. So it was very exciting, but also challenging at the same time.
So the director's cut was 120 minutes. It was 2 hours. Then when my producer saw it, he said we should cut it down. Then I cut it down to 100 minutes. And then after almost each festival, I was finding certain parts either too dragged or emotionally not strong enough. So finally, the version that you will see, it's a final version, which is 82 minutes. So they made me cut 40 minutes of the film. But I think in a certain way, when you're sacrificing your first vision of the film, sometimes it can work better for the story itself. Because the vision that you have in mind before making the film, or even while shooting the film, is completely different from the final product. And you need to be brave or, I don't know, just kind enough to let it go and just see what works better for the film itself.
ये लो, आ गया आपका साइलेंट वाड़ी। मेरी मम्मी ने आपके बारे में भी कुछ लिखा है। Find a safe world companion to travel, और वो आप हो। आपका नाम क्या है?